Hello everyone. Happy New Year to you. This is 2017. I wish for all of you to have a prosperous and a very healthy new year. Shall we get started with your top 5 to stay alive? Hi, this is Dr. Harry, your host, and topic number 1, Woody Witzak. He was 37 years old when his doctor gave him a prescription for an antidepressant called Zoloft. 5 weeks later, he was dead. He had hung himself from the rafters in his garage. Woody didn't go to his doctor because he was depressed. He simply was having a little sleeping problem. But Woody and millions of others are part of a big pharma's longest running experiment called off-label prescribing. Off-label is such a financial windfall for drug makers that they never want to end it. Actually, they want the FDA to give them even more ways to sell their drugs for conditions they never tested for or approved to treat. And it's a risk for you, and especially your kids and grandkids, take every time you fill a prescription. Big Pharma would be thrilled if the FDA disappeared tomorrow, and most of the time it acts as it already has. Over the years, it has paid billions in fines when it's caught giving doctors a sale pitch on all kinds of different and unapproved ways they can use drugs. You see, while doctors can write a prescription for any drug for any reason, drug makers are supposed to only promote them for FDA-approved conditions. However, off-label prescribing is so common that for adults, 1 in 5 prescriptions aren't for approved uses. For kids, it's a whopping 90%. And it's a secret usually discovered only when things go terribly wrong. Now you would think Big Pharma would be happy with how these things are going. It pretty much does exactly what it wants to, and every now and then they have to pay a fine, a little slap on the wrist. Yeah, you would think. However, during a big FDA meeting held a few weeks ago about using meds off-label, drug makers made it perfectly clear they would prefer all the restrictions to be lifted. Manufacturers are the best experts on our own medicine, said a Pfizer official. But in this 2-day session, Big Pharma finally got a taste of its own medicine. Woody's wife, Kim Witzak, testified. So did Steven Francesco, who told through tears how his 15-year-old son died after being given the drug Seroquel for off-label. As Francisco described it, Andrew was fine on Friday and in a vegetative state on Sunday that he never came out of. He calls off-label prescribing the Wild West. Witzak told the large audience at FDA headquarters, which included agency officials, that the average person has no idea what off-label even means, and it automatically assumes a drug is FDA approved. It's a perfect storm, she said. And that's exactly what it is. So many meds are given out for so many off-label uses by now that plenty of doctors probably don't even realize they're doing it. For example, numerous heavy-duty psychiatric drugs are prescribed for insomnia, like in Woody's case. Pain and hot flashes. Drugs approved for epilepsy are given to treat irritability. Namida, a med that the FDA approved for Alzheimer's patients, is used off-label in kids with obsessive compulsive disorder. Malaria drugs are being given for restless leg syndrome. It's simply outrageous. And recent studies have found that your chances of suffering a side effect from taking a med off-label shoot up by a giant 50%. That's why, before taking any prescription drug from your doctor, you should ask him if the drug is being prescribed off-label. Find out what the med was actually approved for and why he thinks it will help your condition. Many grieving family members wish their loved ones had done that, only now it's too late. You know, we have Google. Google the drug, look at what it's prescribed for, and for all reasons, look at the side effects. You might decide not to take it at all. And then look for a natural solution. Okay, topic number 2. Big Pharma is attempting to pull off one of its deadliest scams ever, as if off-label wasn't a biggest scam enough. And with the help of the pharma-friendly mainstream media, it just might succeed. You probably heard the big news recently about a new cholesterol drug that can switch off heart disease. But this so-called new medicine is nothing more than a very risky, expensive shot that the FDA approved last year to lower cholesterol combined with a high-dose statin. Now, you know I'm no friend to statins. I believe they cause more damage than good. And when it comes along with its double whammy of side effects that you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy, the best thing you can say about Amgen's Repatha drug is that it's selling like week-old cold pizza. At a yearly cost of around $14,000, most insurance companies aren't paying for it, and Big Pharma doesn't spend a fortune to get a drug on the market just to watch it fail. I first warned you about PCSK9 blockers like Repatha when they were just a glint in the drug maker's eye, and the more we learn about them, the worse it gets. Even from the get-go, it was known that they can drop your cholesterol levels to unheard of, incredibly dangerous levels. Numbers so low that they're almost a prescription for dementia. That's right, dementia. Why, even the FDA has sent a letter to drug makers early on warning of the potential of neurocognitive adverse events with these meds. But despite all the red flags, researchers were waving Repatha get approved anyway. That, however, is hardly the end of the story. It's actually just the beginning. As I said, Repatha was given as a twice-monthly injection or once-a-month infusion isn't raking in the billions drug makers had anticipated. So enter the Amgen-sponsored study called GLADGOV. But really, it might just as well be called Last Ditch, because unless insurance companies start paying for Repatha, some high-paid pharma heads are going to be looking for a new line of work. GLADGOV finished up this year, and the results were recently published in the Journal of American Medical Association and became a topic of discussion at the American Heart Institute conference. But hard as Amgen tried, the best they came up with was a tiny, get this, 1% drop in artery plaque for the group that took both a high-dose statin and got injected with Repatha for a year and a half. Even the statin-friendly expert who analyzed the result had to admit it sounds small, and the study was too small to know if that 1% really meant anything. Actually, the word small was used a lot to describe this study, but that didn't stop the media from pitching it as a cure for heart disease had been found. Not only was it the lead story in the network TV news broadcast, but news outlets all over the world ran stories saying things such as, could a new drug reverse heart disease, and a breakthrough cholesterol drug can melt away artery clogging plaque. Talk about fake news. Seriously, it's more like melt away your ability to think and function. Dr. Steve Nissen, who led the GLADGOV study and wrote the Journal of American Medical Association paper, said that it's the first time anyone has shown those meds can do anything other than lower cholesterol. Not exactly, Dr. Nissen. It's already been shown that statin can cause brain fog along with serious muscle pain and damage, significantly up your risk for developing diabetes, cancer, and as I told you last year, trigger hardening of the arteries and heart failure. Add to that a med that can wreak havoc on your brain like Repatha, and you've got a prescription for disaster. One cardiologist commented that while the study results appear small, it's still a win. But unfortunately, the winners will be the drug makers and not the patients who end up taking this deadly combo. Topic number 3. When it comes to new cancer drugs, breakthrough, cutting edge, and game-changing can be some of the most dangerous descriptions you'll ever see. Of course, most cancer patients would never suspect that when they put their money and maybe even their life on the line to try a new drug, they're often buying a very expensive ride to nowhere. After all, who would guess that the FDA would approve drugs with obscene price tags and the harshest side effects imaginable, yet with little proof that they're even a tiny bit effective? But now researchers have come up with a full proof researchers have come up with proof of something else, just how huge this big pharma scam really is. We were shocked to find that these drugs don't save lives and don't improve the quality of lives. That's what Diane Zuckerman said after examining the data of 18 cancer meds approved by the FDA between 2008 and 2012. Zuckerman, who is president of the National Center for Health Research, combed through FDA summaries to study these drugs. And it turns out that a lot of the cancer patients might as well be popping Tic Tacs. All these drugs were fast-tracked through the FDA by using a lightning speed approval method known as meeting a surrogate endpoint or goal. The criteria involved include such things as tumor size and the amount of time before cancer progresses. While those might sound like measures of success, further research after approval showed that nearly all of these 18 drugs did not do the most important things any cancer treatment should offer: improve the quality of patients' lives and help them to live longer. First, 5 of the meds couldn't even be researched because there was no available evidence to be found on them. As for the rest, 6 were totally ineffective, no better than taking a Tic Tac or placebo or doing anything at all. 2 made things even worse, and 4 returned mixed results compared to the other drugs and even placebos. Just 1 drug was found to improve the quality of life for patients. 1 drug. And you won't believe the estimated price tags for these turkeys. 13 of the drugs cost more than $100,000 per year. Among the drugs that resulted in no difference or worse quality of life than the placebo, the average yearly cost was almost $88,000. The most expensive drug, Cometriq, didn't improve survival and actually worsened quality of life, but still cost patients a whopping $169,000 per year. And how has the FDA responded to these findings? Only 1 of these 18 drugs lost its approval for treating breast cancer. That's it. And that one's still available for treating other cancers. But that's the closest the FDA has come to curbing the use of any of these 18 duds. They're all still out there doing little good and making things even worse for many patients struggling with cancer. And drug companies are still using them to suck up huge profits. But it looks like this mess is about to get even worse. A few days ago, Congress passed the 21st Century Cures Act, which will put more drugs than ever on the fast track for FDA approval. Instead of a full clinical trial data, many meds will now be able to get approved with only data summaries and file folders. I've said this many times, and it's true now more than ever. You should never trust a newly approved drug. Even when the new drugs are backed up with clinical trials, seriously safety issues crop up for months, even years, after they've been allowed on the market, turning users into guinea pigs. I've often said, after a drug gets approved, now the real trials begin. And this new research certainly shines a spotlight in the fact that just because a drug has been approved to treat cancer, that doesn't necessarily mean that it will improve your life or help you live longer. Where cancer treatments are concerned, you need to find out if any drugs you've been prescribed to can do one of both things of these, and the potential benefits outweigh the risks, because most of the time they do not. Topic number 4. It's that time of year again. The scary stories, the nasty tricks, the clever disguises are going to be everywhere. And I'm not talking about Halloween. I'm talking about flu season. For years, our government has been scaring and bullying millions of Americans and rolling up their sleeves for the flu shot. But there's one vaccine this year that's hiding a deadly trick you're not supposed to know about. It's called FluMist Quadrivalent. And it's a nasal spray for adults and kids as young as 2 years old who want to skip the needle. I'm all for skipping the needle. But lurking in every dose of FluMist is a deadly ingredient the FDA and one of the world's largest drug makers have been working hard to disguise. One that could head straight to your brain and cause damage, Alzheimer's disease, and even death. None of us would ever allow doctors to spray a dangerous brain poison right up our noses, and we'd certainly never agree to give it to our kids or grandkids. But believe it or not, that's exactly the deal the FDA and AstraZeneca are asking you to accept whenever you get the FluMist nasal spray. You see, every dose of FluMist is packed with dangerous levels of, drumroll please, monosodium glutamate. That's right, MSG, the same toxic food additive that we go out of our way to avoid in the supermarket and the Chinese restaurant. And once MSG is sprayed into your nose, it can make a beeline straight for your brain. That's especially bad news for kids. Researchers found that MSG can actually overstimulate kids' brain cells until they start dying off by the millions. And the mainstream media is handling this stuff out to toddlers as young as 2 years old. But trust me, the MSG in FluMist is no picnic for your brain either. MSG can cause massive neurological damage and has been proven to bring on Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and even Lou Gehrig's disease. And if MSG doesn't destroy your brain, it can actually stop your heart. Even the American Heart Association admits it can cause rapid heartbeat or even a deadly episode of AFib. So what's a poison like MSG doing in FluMist anyway? The FDA says it's there to protect the vaccine from heat, light, acidity, or humidity. Well, it's too bad our government isn't just as worried about protecting us. Check out the vaccine's label or watch one of AstraZeneca's commercials for FluMist, and you'll see a cryptic warning about how you shouldn't take it if you're prone to severe allergic reactions. But you know what you won't see? Any notice whatsoever that there's MSG in the vaccine. And that's because the FDA doesn't require AstraZeneca to warn you. Can you believe it? Your favorite Chinese restaurant will tell you if there's MSG in your food, but the feds don't want you to know when you're spraying it up your nose. Now, of course, AstraZeneca will tell you that the clinical trials of FluMist showed it wasn't any more dangerous than a placebo. Well, that seemed a little fishy to me, so I looked into it, and you're going to be wanting to sit down for this one. In 3 out of the 5 trials, the placebo was loaded with a very similar additive called sucrose phosphate glutamate. It wasn't a real placebo at all. Placebo is supposed to be a sugar pill. In fact, it looks to me as AstraZeneca tried very hard to make sure that the so-called placebo caused just as many side effects as FluMist. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out, and you can bet the FDA figured it out too, but these guys would rather damage the brains of 2-year-olds than the relationships of one of the largest drug companies on the planet. The FDA and AstraZeneca can make all the excuses they want. The fact is, studies have proven over and over again that MSG is a deadly poison for your brain. And the last thing you want to do is spray it up your nose, especially if you're only 2 years old. And finally, topic number 5, talking about the flu. Imagine making your body permanently invincible to the flu, all without going anywhere near a risky vaccine. For years, our government has tried to convince us that rolling up our sleeve was the only way to stay safe from the flu. They're even spent billions stockpiling the vaccine, even though some years it's failed more than 90% of the time. But now scientists have proved a simple supplement you can buy for pennies a day may be the most powerful flu fighter we've ever seen. It actually jumpstarts your body's own natural defenses and kills the flu virus dead. And this natural cure won't just keep you healthy this year, it may keep you from ever getting sick with the flu again. Believe it or not, how sick you get from the flu might not have much to do with how strong the virus is during any given year. And it has everything to do with how much zinc you have in your bloodstream. Zinc is one of those minerals we don't think of much until we come down with a cold, and then we start popping zinc lozenges like crazy. I admit I do that. But researchers from Tufts University have found that keeping your body stocked with zinc all year may be the secret to staying flu-free forever. They just wrapped up a study on nursing home patients, people who usually have very weak immune system and often ending up dying from the flu. But after just a few months of taking zinc, these folks saw their body's levels of natural killer T cells skyrocket. These killer T cells are your first line of defense against the flu, and they have the power to kill the virus before it replicates and makes you sick. How many T cells you have circulating determines how serious a case of flu you develop and whether the flu ends up killing you. Even better, early research discovered that some people with high levels of T cells never get sick from the flu, even when they're infected with the virus. These cells are like the hitmen of our immune system, and they can efficiently eliminate the virus-infected cells, said Catherine Cadenza, a professor from the University of Melbourne in Australia. In other words, if you have enough killer T cells, your body can kill flu before headaches, fevers, upset stomach, and all other unpleasant symptoms start. In fact, just last year I told you how Big Pharma was trying to develop a lifetime flu vaccine that you'd only have to get once, and I'll give you one guess how they're trying to do it: by jump-starting your body's production of killer T cells. Of course, you don't have to be a human guinea pig or try some experiment vaccine to help your body make more of these natural flu fighters, which will these vaccines will contain thimerosal or aluminum or MSG. Zinc actually stimulates your body's natural production of killer T cells, which can help you beat everything from the flu to cancer. Now, lots of us are low on zinc, and that's especially true for folks with weaker immune systems like seniors, pregnant women, or people getting cancer treatment. And if you're interested in loading up on zinc, here are a few tips you can get started with. Try to work more food rich in zinc into your diet. This will include oysters, scallops, shrimp, grass-fed beef, pumpkin seeds, mushrooms, spinach, and asparagus. Number 2, if you're looking to supplement, most docs recommend doses of around 15 to 25 milligrams a day. My Man Up product has 25 milligrams of zinc per serving, guys. Jump on that. When taking a zinc supplement, don't wash it down with coffee or tea. Didn't know this, as caffeine can keep your body from absorbing the mineral by as much as 50%. And definitely consider supplementing with zinc if you're taking blood pressure meds, especially ACE inhibitors or diuretics. And even those popular stomach acid drugs like Prilosec, Pepcid AC, Nexium, and so on. These have all been proven to drain your bodies of zinc. And another thing, Cardio for Life, when arginine converts to nitric oxide, it actually increases your T cell count, your B cell count, and your NK, your natural killer cell count. So increase your Cardio for Life during the winter season and take 25 milligrams of zinc. All right, let's move on to our testimonies this month. Dr. Harry, I have some good news. My last echocardiogram showed that my heart, after 2.5 years post-heart attack and triple bypass surgery, has gone back to normal function. No evidence of a heart attack. Praise Jesus, Cardio for Life, and prayer works. Thank you, Loria from Canada. Testimony number 2. Just a note of thanks for the Cardio for Life supplement. I watched your DVD, and now I know why this supplement is so important for the arterial health of the general public. I have been in practice for 35 years and looked for information for 35 years. Now for the good news. I've had 5 heart bypasses, a heart valve replaced just 3 years ago. I knew I needed this supplement 3 weeks after taking it twice a day. I noticed my blood pressure has dropped 20 points. My blood sugar has dropped 40 points. My next step is your weight loss program. It has to be a winner. Thank you, Dr. Joe. And finally, testimony number 3. Following is part of my testimony before and since taking Cardio for Life. On September 30th, 2016, I wasn't my usual peppy self. I was having difficult breathing, and I had lots of water retention, gaining 20 pounds rather quickly in the last 2 months. My wife said she wanted me around for more years and that I needed to get to emergency. So reluctantly, we went to emergency at the hospital that same afternoon. My blood pressure was at 153/114. That's high. I was diagnosed with typical left bundle branch block and anterior septal infarct of undetermined age, severe multivessel coronary artery disease, hypertension, prediabetes. They admitted me immediately to the hospital. Later, October 3rd, 2016, while in the hospital, the diagnosis was upgraded to acute decompensated heart failure with reduced ejection fraction, around 10%. The cardiologist said normal ejection fraction is 55%. The cardiologist put me on meds, and I sprung back health-wise pretty fast. I'm not a meds kind of person unless it's absolutely necessary. I prefer the naturopathic route. During the morning of October 5th, 2016, they did a left heart catheterization that showed severe chronic multi-vessel coronary artery disease, including complete total obstruction of the LAD, LCX, and RCA. The Fellowship of the Cardiologists recommended that as their patient that I be transferred to another hospital for a coronary artery bypass graft. However, I refused these interventions at that time and said he would prefer to consider them as an outpatient. The Fellowship of Doctors at the hospital decided to up the dosage of one of my meds, lisinopril, they were giving me, actually doubling. Well, needless to say, I had an adverse reaction, developed angioedema immediately, and within 20 minutes I was in the ICU with a tube being pushed down my throat and many more tube-like things in my body. As the tube went in, I thought at one point I had died. Yet, I woke up 3 days later, thank the Lord. After getting through the life-threatening fiasco, I left the hospital in the afternoon of 13th of October. I immediately started at 2 scoops of Cardio for Life. I'm happy and grateful to report that I'm doing very well in this product. My wife is also doing well on it. We are walking nearly every day and feeling good. I had a digital pulse wave test done on the 23rd of October, and it showed that I had the cardiovascular system of a 35-year-old. My blood pressure, which I have taken every day since being released from the hospital, is consistently 150 to 120 over 75 to 80, and my pulse is averaging 69 to 78. I'm also glad to tell you that I got rid of 60 pounds since the 30th of December, and I have my pep back. We are forever grateful. We've got to let everybody know about this wonderful product, Cardio for Life. Sincerely and with great gratitude, Steve from Scottsdale. Well, thank you for that, Steve. People, Cardio for Life works. Recommend it to everyone you know. I'm not saying that to make money. I'm saying that to let you know that it works for everyone, even children. It goes by body weight, but children can take it. And you know what? I get testimonies like this almost every day. Most of them are through a phone call, which I can't give you unless they put it in writing. But it works, and all the products, Cleanse, people love the Cleanse. The weight loss products work. The Flex and the Thermax work for people in pain. In fact, I just got a call from somebody today that said ordered 5 or 6 jars of the Flex and told me that it is helping with her husband who has Parkinson's. So there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, 2017 is just starting, but together we can work together to bring good health to everyone you know, your family, your friends, and your loved ones. So thank you for being a part of the Health Guardian. We're going to be introducing a new flavor of Cardio for Life this month, Pina Colada. So for those of you who like that tropical flavor, Pina Colada will soon probably become the #1 favorite. I know I've been taking it and I enjoy the flavor. Of course, I like Pina Coladas. So there you go. So with that, this is Dr. Harry saying God bless you all, and let's enjoy our health this year. Amen.